Hi everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in for today's video interview. I'm Tony Restel from Social Hire and delighted to be joined today by Errol Burasinger. Errol, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about decision making and a whole load of topics surrounding that. But would you like to just start by introducing yourself, what it is you do, and then we'll dive into today's questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Delighted to be here with you. If I think of a way of introducing myself, I would say my career has been a bit of a cocktail and a tasty one at that, because I was an engineer, a professor, a research scientist, a business owner, management consultant, you name it. However, during the past 25 years, I have been specializing in decision making and negotiating. In fact, over the 20 plus years, I've realized that I'm the only guy in the world who trains in what I refer to as analytical decision making. That is, as opposed to making decisions relying on common sense, gut feel, intuition, logic, experience, etc. So that's basically who I am.
Fantastic. Well, let's start there. Why do you consider decision making and negotiating to be so important?
Well, think for a moment. Our lives revolve around knowing what we want, which is making a decision, and getting what we want, which is negotiating. Because every action of ours is driven by a decision. And every interaction we engage in is a negotiation. Even when you send a text, an email, or phone call, you're actually negotiating. And every organization has to make decisions pertaining to recruiting, bid evaluation, procurement, investment, asset allocation, site selection, etc. And as an individual too, you have to make decisions on careers, education, buying a home or a car, investments, retirement, etc. So you see, enhanced decision-making and negotiating skills will save you thousands of dollars. Of course, not forgetting the heartbreaks and the nightmares, right? There is no doubt in my mind that in life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. And to be successful professionally and in your personal life, you must develop some level of expertise in these two skills. I caution you, beware of illusions of infallibility.
So would you say that generally people and in the business world in particular are good at making decisions, and to what extent are people's decisions emotionally driven rather than data driven?
Well, there are two questions here. First, your question was, are we good at making decisions? Sure. I am not saying that we are not good at making decisions. Ask a bunch of CXOs, and a majority will say, yeah, we're pretty good at making decisions. I'm the CEO, etc., etc. But the truth is, they have an illusion of infallibility. In today's age of big data, we face the following impediments. The sheer volume and uncertainty of data and environment is causing trouble. Intentional decision contamination and manipulation by others exist everywhere. And of course, as human beings, we are limited in our capabilities, and also we are irrational. Honestly, I can spend the next hour elaborating on the above, but let's move on to the second part of your question. Are all decisions feelings driven? The short answer is yes. All decisions are feelings driven. There's no doubt about it. Let me elaborate this with a simple example. Imagine 10 guys getting together and they pull their money in and they buy lottery tickets. Lo and behold, one day they win $10 million. What do? They share it, 1 million each. Now they all decide to go and visit a financial plan. And the financial planner says, hey guys, I can offer you a 3% fixed deposit, or I can offer you a slightly risky annuity yield that produces 8%. Now the question is, what percentage of our winnings would we invest in this fixed deposit? I can guarantee you, all of them are not going to say 50-50. But some will go 50-50, some will go 30-70, whatever it is. What did I just prove? Even though our decision makers had the same data and information, they made different decisions. That is why I always say all decisions are data supported but feelings driven.
So given that that's the case, how can you arrive then at what is the optimum decision in any situation?
Well, in the past, this was not very difficult. But today we live in a world of data and information overload. Ask yourself, what is the common factor with some of the richest companies in the world? the Microsofts, the Apples, the Amazons, the Googles, Meta, etc. It's data, data, data. Data is the new currency. Now, the growth of data is exponential, but how we use and interpret this data has not changed for centuries. We all still rely on common sense and gut feel and intuition and experience and judgment. Sadly, these are totally inadequate in today's age of big data. Now, while these traits are absolutely essential, we need to reinforce them with analytical techniques, such as decision validation, D-zone mapping, etc. This is my specialty. Hence the case for training in analytical decision making. For those who still doubt what I say, I urge you to watch my video on corporate blunders. That's a real eye-opener.
And let's talk about decision making is not problem solving. I've seen you write about that before. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Sure. A very simple example again, right? Decision making is not problem solving. Now imagine you're driving your car and one day that red light comes, alert saying service engine. So you go to Jim, your favorite mechanic, and say, hey Jim, what's going on, buddy? He says, no worries, let's run diagnostics. And he comes back and says, Joe, you've got a gear train problem. Naturally, your question is, hey, what should we do, Jim? He'll say, well, I can repair it, but I can't promise the shelf life. We can replace it with a refurbished unit. Or maybe if you had some extra dollars, we'll put in a brand new unit. Now, while you ponder over these three options, he comes back and says, hey, Joe, your car's knocking a few years, you may want to sell it. Wow. What did Jim do? He solved your problem. He gave 4 potential solutions. But Jim can't decide for you because he doesn't know your personal circumstances. Maybe you have a daughter in college who could use this car for local running. Or maybe you just lost your job and you're struggling for some money. Or maybe you want to donate this and get a tax break. There are a whole host of things that you could do, but that's your job. So you see, the domain expert, whether it's a car mechanic or a TV repairman or a plumber, the domain expert is tasked with solving the problem and providing you with potential solutions. The owner, as I call the stakeholders, folks impacted, have to make the decision. That's the difference. I hope it's very clear.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting distinction. And you said earlier we could talk for hours, Errol, and I'm quite sure you're right, but I'm conscious of time with today's interview. If people would like to find out more about your work or get in touch, what would be the best thing for them to do?
Well, I have a website that is expertus.com, and the expert doesn't have an E in front. And I also have a YouTube channel with about 50 videos on these subjects. Do take a look at it and feel free to reach out anytime.
Terrific. Thank you so much for your time today, Errol, and have a great rest of the week, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you, Tony. It's been a real pleasure. Have fun. Bye-bye.